Hi, everyone. My name is Katie Williams, and today I want to talk to you a little bit about some unethical behaviors of educators. And this was a little bit from a literature review that I did for my law and ethics class this summer. So, some of the things that we're going to discuss today, the hot topics, I guess you could call them, are inappropriate sexual behavior with students, social networking with students, and cheating on standardized tests. So the first one is inappropriate sexual behavior. So what is deemed inappropriate? I always think of it this way. If you say something to a student um, or a student makes a comment to you, would it be something that your principal would approve of? If he or she were standing right there, would they approve of that comment? If not, then it's probably inappropriate. What does your school policy say? You can lose everything for any type of inappropriate behavior with students, especially if it involves anything sexual. Um, some things that I did some research on and found out were that the University of Texas had a professor that had inappropriate relationships with students, and because that policy at the school didn't specifically say the consequences of that, he was allowed to come back and teach. And so they had to go in and deal with a lot of upset from students. The Ohio Department of Education found out some research about their teachers. One specifically had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a 14-year-old student that she had, and she lost it all, lost her teaching certificate, and even had to register as a sex offender. So you can lose everything, and it's just not worth it. The next hot topic is social networking with students. I always say be careful with that. Social networking is great to be able to connect with your students outside of school. It's also great to be able to use some of those apps in school. But you have to be careful of what I call the snowball effect. Something that could seem at the beginning small and minuscule. Once again, if it's not something that you think that your principal would approve of, if it's not something that maybe their parents would approve of in your conversations, then you shouldn't be having them. This becomes even big of a problem because there's like a blurred line. You have to know where the professionalism, and then it kind of blurs into your personal life. Teachers have to know that there's a definite line, and sometimes students want to cross that line, and you have to just stop it. It's inappropriate. Missouri passed a new Facebook law actually, and it requires that there's heavy sanctions and rules that have to do with social media usage from their teachers. They can only use it for professional purposes, and the school is allowed to go in and read everything anytime. They're kind of like an admin over that account. So everything that you do when it comes to social networking can be tracked, everything can be traced. So everything that you say, everything that you type out, it's very important. So you are your own data, and you can be your own worst enemy. So be very careful. Lastly is cheating on standardized tests. So this is becoming a problem that's happening more often. Why? Possibly because there's a lot of pressure on schools and pressure on teachers from federal funding. We don't want our scores to be so low that, that people have to come in and take over the school. There's also some benefits as far as they reward stipends for some schools if they score higher. So, in some of my research, I found out that there are many states that have a lot of cases with this. Houston, Texas was too good to be true, and come to find out they were cheating on their test. The teachers were giving the study guides to the students with the answers. So once again, you could lose it all. Depending on what your school policy said, this is a code of ethics violation. You violate that trust. You violate that honesty that you're supposed to have as an educator when you cheat on standardized tests. And ultimately, once again, you could lose it all. It's just not worth it. So what does the school say on this? Be policy heavy, be as specific. Make sure your school has clearly defined rules and consequences for these type of hot topics. Another thing is to edit your policies. If you have a policy and it may not be specific about cheating on standardized tests, that needs to be in there. So you need to kind of modify these from year to year and make changes and update them. Lastly, make your teachers aware. Make them aware of what the current laws are and the standards and the rights, their rights and student rights. So have yearly updated meetings to make sure everything is current. And these are my references. And if you have any questions, just let me know. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it.